My definition of success has evolved so much over the course of my life. When I was younger, I would have these lists of all these things I want to accomplish, like, 25 things to do before 25, 50 things to do before whatever age. And, I would check box each thing as I accomplish it. And to me, that was success. Like my foundation was very humble. So I was born in Brooklyn and I grew up in, what you would consider the hood, right?
Yeah.
And I was born to amazing Nigerian parents. And so I also had that balance of, that cultural influence from Nigeria, but also just, finding my way through life. I lived in Brooklyn growing up. I lived in Lagos. I lived in London. But I really got to see a lot of things in my life. And what I mean by that is I got to see a balance of people that have nothing, but also being around people that have a lot. Yeah. And I think that really inspired me from that very, very young age, so the most prominent story I can remember was when I was 8 years old. We were living in Lagos. I used to walk about a mile, about 2 kilometers to school. Along my walk to school, there were people that were begging, right, for food to eat, money. Yeah. And that was a very, very common sight that I encountered every day living in Lagos. And, it just always used to beg me to ask the question, like, why do some people have to suffer so much? Like, why is there so much disparity? We didn't have a lot, but I knew that when I got home, I will have food on the table. Yeah. My mom will always have clothes on our back. We had a bed to sleep in. Yeah. And at that very young age, I just used to question life and what the meaning of life is and what purpose was. And, I used to drive my mom crazy because I'll ask her those questions and she's like, life is not fair, and I just used to carry that burden. I'm like, well, I want to do something about it. I want to make a difference, but I also want to make sure that I'm successful. So not only because I want to make sure I'm not obviously in that situation, but I want to help others, and see what I can do to impact other people in my journey. And so, I'm kind of like answering the question around purpose a little bit, but, so from that young age, I was just determined to be successful and to, because I was just like, I have more opportunity than most people. Right. I don't have any physical disabilities, because a lot of people that I encountered would have like polio and a lot of physical disabilities. I was born in America where, for the most part, I could actually, reach opportunity, because it was not about my intelligence or my capabilities. It was sometimes about where you were born. Exactly. And, that had nothing to do with me. I had all these advantages that had nothing to do with my actual work ethic or anything like that. Right. So I just felt like I needed to maximize on all those advantages that I have. So I just said, I have to be successful, because what excuse do I have not to be? Yeah. There's so many people that have so much less than I do. And so I defined success at that time by wealth, like, monetary success. And so I was just like laser focused on that, and also just like my family circumstances. There's a lot of things that happened as well in my teenage years, me coming back here and supporting my family back home and all that stuff. And so for me, the only thing I could think of was success, because, we needed the money. Yeah. And I knew that money was the only currency that was, acceptable back there home, as well, back home. Everything in my late teen years and my, for the most part, my 20s was defined by that monetary level of success, right? Wanted to go to, great schools, get all these degrees. I have 4 degrees.
Listen, all the receipts. She said, look.
I have 4 degrees. Yes. And, I just always pushed myself, because I was like, the only thing I really, really have is my ambition. I can't change a lot of things, but I can work really hard. I can study really hard. And, I don't consider myself naturally intelligent. I just work really hard. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to always just push myself to get to that level of, success. What is the hardest course that I can take? I'm going to take that. I was engineering and math major, and it kicked my butt, but I was just like, listen, when I graduate, I'm gonna get a good job and be able to support my family and be able to make change in the world. That's all I kept on thinking about. Right. Yes. And, I think I thought like that for a very long time. But as I reached my 30s, I think my definition of success really started to evolve a lot. And, I started to think about monetary success was still important, because, in my opinion, there's a lot of things that you can get done
Yeah.
from the, nonprofit, maybe governmental angles. But, for the most part, I felt like monetary success was still important to be able to make big change. Like whether you want to donate to cancer awareness or you want to donate to this, like, you
Right.
see a lot of those impacts being made by people that have a great amount of wealth. So that
Right.
was always still a priority.
Yes, yes.
But then I started to really check in on myself, like what kind of legacy do I want to make sure I'm leaving as well? And
Yes.
what is my purpose in life?